Item number 6.
Item number 6, Community Service Organization Reports. 6A, 2019 County Fair Report. Tom Martz, Manager of Recreation and Cultural Services, Community Services Department, and Lori Harfelt, Chair, Fair Advisory Board.
Mr. Martz.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Appreciate it. We wanted to kind of go through this year's county fair and give you the nuts and bolts, but also recognize a little bit of the enormous amount of work and effort that goes into putting the county fair on. So Lori Harfert is the Fair Advisory Board Chair, and she's up here to support me, and so she might hold me up every once in a while. This year was the week that you've been waiting for. It is 8 days, so it's a little bit of a long week, but it is a great week at the county fair. We have a mission, and it's always important that we focus on this to bring us back and focus in on what we're trying to accomplish. And you can see there the main points. You know, we want a variety of activities. We want to celebrate the county's cultural history and Western heritage. We want to provide an effective venue for 4-H. That's a critical part of what we're trying to accomplish. And uniquely, our county fair is financially self-sufficient. And so that is a focus that we have. And we have added this last part, even though it's been part of our mission every year. We want to stress how important this is, that we want it to be as safe an environment as possible for participants, volunteers, and staff. And that's become much more critical in today's world. And also, we want to make sure that we're thinking that through. Every time we make a decision, we go back and look, is this a safe and a wise decision to be making? Some key components. This is a list that I'll go into more detail about, but you can see that we really put a lot of thought and effort into planning the county fair. In fact, we're starting right now. Next week is our first meeting that we'll be planning the 2020 county fair. And one thing that I think all of us do during the week is we gather input from all the people, the pros and the cons, the good and the bad. And so we'll be doing a SWOT analysis next week and looking at how we can do this. But you can see supportive sponsors. It needs to be a win-win. The effective pre-fair and fair marketing I'll go into, the great 4-H program that we have, the evening entertainment, the daily entertainment, the dedicated and passionate volunteers and staff, many of whom are behind me right now, the variety of vendors in Carnival, and the one that I can't quite get a grasp on, and that is the good weather. But we're doing our best. So
Did we have pretty good weather this year?
You know, we had some rough times, so I'll show you how it impacted our attendance. But yeah, you know, it's amazing, a little bit of rain, and the crowd just kind of diminishes, even though to us, it just cools things off. So we love it when it rains a little bit and it cools things. But
well, Commissioner Gonzalez was in charge of weather this year, so if it didn't go well,
we're gonna have to pass that on. So I wanted to draw out and really point out some of the key people that have helped us this year, and for many, many years, some of them decades have been helping us. The Fair Advisory Board, Lori is the chair, Mel is our vice chair, and Pam Dawson, as you all know, is not only the Queen coordinator, but also the secretary. But then all those other folks, many of them spent more than 8 days there, just camping, and they help out from the early morning to the late evening. And then on the right-hand side, we don't often do this, but I think it's an important part of drawing attention. And the one person that's missing from there is at the very top, and that's Tim Wolkin and all the dedication and effort he puts into it. But then Adam and Stacy and Janice are the fair team out there, and really they've got so many things on their plate to put this all together. And Janice and Dana, Teresa, and then we have included our 4-H and extension staff, and they're behind me too, and they really are a critical part of putting this fair together. And the other thing that's missing on that key staff is all the other groups. You know, I think the county fair is unique, and if you talk to people in the county on almost every department and division, they're doing something at the county fair. IT is helping us. Procurement, contracting for camels, that's a unique opportunity. So, but finance helps us through, and all facilities, they're constantly out there helping us out. And so the county fair, what I see is not only the community coming together, but also the county departments and divisions coming together to make it happen. So we thank them all for making it happen. So here's our attendance. So our goal is 25,000, and we exceeded that at 26,000. You can see my little asterisks. We did have severe weather and multiple shelter in place. Ever since we had a lightning incident, we've been sheltering in place, and we feel that that's a worthwhile and safe thing for us to do. But it does put a damper on the day, and so when we do that, people tend to go inside, and sometimes they'll leave. But we'll continue to do that, but it has an impact on our attendance. Still, great year, great attendance, and we're very proud of what we accomplished. The next numbers game that we play is the revenue. I mentioned it's self-sufficient, and so we try to break that into the categories, and so you can see that we exceeded and met all of our budget requirements and exceeded our overall goal, and we've raised $248,000. There's still some credit card receipts coming in, so it'll go up a little bit, but that is projected for now. It will be at least 248, so that is a big part of it. So now a little more detail on all the teams that go into this. Joel and Nancy and Blake and all the PIO office and help us with our marketing. They did win an award last year on this, and it's really a critical part. We can put on the best fair ever, but if people don't know about it, it doesn't matter. So letting people know, and you know, with marketing, it takes multiple touches, and so we have to have all of these and maybe even more to make sure people know about the county fair, when it is, what's exciting about it. You can see all the variety of things that they did. Social media is increasing. It's cheaper, but it's also a critical part of what we do. So thank you to that team. The Fair Queen. We had a wonderful Fair Queen this year, and every year we do, but this year was really a great year. If you didn't get a chance to meet her, she was a great ambassador. She went out and met, but during the county fair, I saw her with the kids, and she had kind of a unique connection to our county fair, as she used to come when she was a little girl, so that was really special for all of us this year. The programming, it's kind of the bread and butter of the county fair, and it's a variety of things going on, but one of them is the daily entertainment. So we always try to get some big acts, and this is included in the admission. So everybody gets to go to these, and we had the camels this year, we had the reptiles, and we also had the magician, who, if you didn't get a chance to see, he was an outstanding magician. But that is something that's important that's going on throughout the day. We also have some great music, not only locals, but we're trying to bring in some traveling music, and so a little bit of variety. Some wonderful bands this year. Our action-packed evening ticketed events, that's a big part of that gate revenue. The 105 is our ticketed events. And so we start with the races. We had the truck and tractor pull, which is very loud, but it's also one of those Western heritage things that's just important for us to do. And then the bull riding, I was just talking about it. What an event, and watch those very brave cowboys and cowgirls out there doing what they do. And then we wrap up with the demolition derby, which is a favorite of many, and makes the majority of our revenue is that last night. And this is not last by any means. This really is, and I mentioned it before, this is the key to why we're doing this. Why we want to raise money is because we want to have a great fair for 4-H, and the FFA joined us this year. They have put hundreds of hours into these animals and these projects, and it's a family, it's a Western, it's just all the things that I think are special about El Paso County are rolled up in 4-H and FFA. The vendors, they're an important part, and we raised, $34,000, $35,000, and it's kind of funny. If you go ask a vendor, they'll be smiling with handfuls of cash, but if you ask them how they're doing, they'll say, oh, horrible day. But the best sign, I think, of how it's going well is that we had 17 vendors that wanted to come back already. So they ended the fair, we give them a discount, and they've already signed up for next year. So that's pretty cool. We're always looking, and some people's experience at the county fair is going to those vendors and the food. So they fry everything. So if you didn't get a chance...
the only way to eat food.
The only way is deep fried.
Yep.
And now I'd like to draw some attention to our sponsors, many of whom are with us today. Stella Hodgkins with G. Johnson, Sarah and Eric with Mountain View Electric, Mike Pettigrew with Farmers State Bank, Diane Dupree with RMC Distributing, Daisha Hudson with Tobacco Free, and Chris and John with Nextera are just a few of the vendors or few of the sponsors that we have, and what a critical part. You know, you noticed that $85,000, and thank you to many of you for helping us accomplish that too. G. Johnson was our presenting sponsor this year. What a great community connection for us. Ed Glazier Propane and Farmer State Bank were our platinum sponsors and just pillars of the community in eastern El Paso County. Our gold sponsors this year, Nextera, Tobacco Education, Mountain View Electric, and RMC, all of them help out at the county fair, not just with financial support, but other things too. And then there are other 38 additional sponsors. So I'd just like to give a round of applause to all of our sponsors.
And for those of you that don't know, Dana Nordstrom does an outstanding job, beg, borrowing, stealing, and cajoling those people into contributing. If it were not for Dana, we wouldn't raise near as much through sponsorships.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. All right, the 2019 award winners. This is something that's special at the VIP reception every year. Is we try to recognize some of the outstanding people that have supported the county fair, but also the county in general. We do a community service award for 4-H or FFA. We have I read the nominations, they're just stellar youth of our community. Caitlin Wilson was our winner this year. Our very own Lori Harford won the Fair Advisory Board Award of Excellence for her many, many years of service and hundreds, I'll say thousands of hours that she gives free to the county and helping us with the county fair. And then your favorite of mine, Dave Rose, he was our VIP Recognition Award, which was really cool to see him come back. So he was a big help over the years and really drew, I think, the PIO office and the county fair together. And I talk about the money, I talk about the numbers and all of that, but that's not why we do it. We do it for the memories of all the people that come to the county fair. It's really a special thing if you just come up and you look around and you see all the smiling faces and all the laughter and all the just amazing opportunities. It really is. We're making memories for a lifetime for a lot of these families and people that come out and enjoy the county fair. So although I focus on the other things, I know what's really important, and I think all of us behind here do too. So with that, we are starting to look forward to next year. We've already set the dates for July 11th through the 18th. We tried to avoid some of your conflicts too, so hopefully you can make it to some of the events next year. And we also are starting a little bit earlier for the carnival too. So we're looking forward to next year, and it's going to be, I'm going to go ahead and say it now, the best fair ever. So for you, are there any comments or questions that you have of us? And then I'd like, if it's possible, to have them come down and get a photo with all of you.
Yeah, for sure. Any comments? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I did want to thank the staff and all the volunteers and the sponsors once again. And I did kind of want to give a little explanation about why I was in charge of weather this year. I was originally on the entertainment committee, but I got removed because I recommended swimming with the sharks. And I guess I understand looking back why that was maybe not the best recommendation, but there's a reason they're on TV for a week at a time, right? So I might push it again next year, but thanks.
Maybe we could jump sharks next year or something like that.
You know, yeah, we've had the dock dogs where the dogs jump. Maybe the sharks, we could do that, yeah.
And then have a commissioner challenge that way.
There you go.
I will not swim with sharks.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you so much for all that you do. I was going to say, given some of the current parking deficiencies downtown, we might have more success riding camels to work than parking them in front of the building here. But especially to Dana Nordstrom, I know how hard she works to get all those sponsorships, and everyone on the fair board for continuing to make it a financial success. It's such a great thing for us to see, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'd like to kind of make a few comments about the history of El Paso County, the El Paso County Fair. It struck me when I was reading through some of the literature that the very first county fair, which was essentially a potato bake, if I understand correctly, the people that visited for that event came in Conestoga wagons and surreys. So there's a history of our El Paso County Fair that I think is really pretty interesting, and I enjoyed reading about that. I did get the opportunity, as you know, to participate in the County Fair Queen Luncheon. This is an opportunity to recognize the current County Fair Queen and the previous ones as well. So Mallory Link, who was this year's Fair Queen, it was very interesting to me. She wanted to be the El Paso County Fair Queen since she was 6 years old. She had had a really strong interest in succeeding in that, and I thought it was fantastic that that was one of her life's goals, and she made it, and she's off to college, and super brilliant young lady, and it's just a great story. The other thing that surprised me is that for the other Fair Queens that came, so they could take the group photo, the El Paso County Fair Queen from 1951 and 1959 were there. What's the right date? 55, my apologies. I thought it was 51, but it's 55.
Yeah.
51 and 55.
55 and 59.
59 and 55, we'll get this right. Okay. But that's more than 60 years ago. So that was amazing, and it was a great photo of all of them together, all the Fair Queens that you were able to locate and find and put up in front of the room and get this fantastic photo of that. So what a great tradition, right? So thanks to everybody for the volunteers and the team that's putting this all together. It's a great tradition in El Paso County. I look forward to continuing to participate as we move on. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. I can tell you we continued the tradition for the potatoes, and that was one time it was good that it rained, because it rained cats and dogs, so everybody came inside for the potato dressing costume contest. And so they all got to make up a potato. It was quite an event, and I don't know, there's probably 50 kids in there all decorating a potato. So that's one of our continuing traditions.
That's awesome. You know, one of the bits of history you missed, Commissioner Vanderwerf, this was the 116th annual El Paso County Fair. A little bit of trivia that people might not know, Dave Rose has been to 110 of them. So thank you all for all that you do when it comes to the fair. It's one of my favorite events of the year. I love going to it, and it's not just my favorite event because by the time we get to the fair, Dana Nordstrom's no longer harassing me to harass people to raise money, so I'm happy about that. But I love it. I love everything about it, and I love how, just in my time, in my short time on the county commission, how we've seen it grow. We're looking right here at the picture. That's the entrance there is new, and I think that makes it look so much better. We put the permanent pavilion in out there a couple of years ago. That makes it so much nicer as well. And so I'm extremely pleased to see the investment in infrastructure going into this to make sure it's something that's going to continue on for years to come. So thanks to the Fair Board, thanks to all the staff that participate in this, and certainly thanks to all the volunteers who make it happen. We couldn't do that and do it well without them. So we appreciate it. We will stand in a brief recess for a picture. Oh, hang on.
Oh, I am sorry.
We've got a video to show. Todd?
Yeah, way better than my PowerPoint, I can tell you that.
Mark this down, Tim. Todd missed the video here, so.
You're fired.
All right, now we'll stand in a brief recess.